Winter has come. Well guys, it's that time of year that I absolutely dread. Winter has hit Chicago once again. And I'm not happy about it because it came early this year. There's no snow yet, but it is absolutely freezing outside. It's about 30 degrees. That's -1 Celsius, by the way. So due to the recent weather change, I decided to make a video on how to winterize your car. These are just tips I've picked up over the years and from living up north. So I thought I'd just pass on some knowledge to you. Now I know about 90% of you guys probably aren't even going to watch this video because you're smart. You bought a convertible and you live in warm climate. But for the other 10% that are morons like me, this might help you out when you need it. So while I let the car warm up, the first thing I want to talk to you about is your car battery. That's probably the most important thing to check when winterizing your car, because if your car doesn't start, then none of these other tips are even going to come into play. The first thing to do is, listen to your startup, especially in cold weather, because when the weather drops below 0, the efficiency of your battery gets cut in half. So listen for your startup. If it sounds weak, you probably need to go get it checked. Go to an auto parts store. They will test it for you for free. They'll just roll out the cart and put the jumper cables on your battery and run a test, a diagnostic, to see what the strength of that battery is. If it meets a certain threshold, then they'll say you're fine, or if it's below that, they'll say, yeah, you probably ought to start looking at a new battery. Definitely get a new battery if you think you need one. They're about $100, if not less. You could probably go for a cheaper one for $60. But it will definitely get you through the winter and probably for the next year or two. The battery I'm running right now has been running pretty good, so I'm gonna just keep it for now. And if I start having any problems when the weather gets even colder, then I'll definitely go swap it out. The second thing on the list to check is your antifreeze. Up here in the north we call it antifreeze. Down south you call it coolant because, well, you need it cool in the heat and you need it to not freeze over in the winter time. So if you saw my last video, I'll put a link in the description right up here. I basically flushed out my old antifreeze and added new antifreeze, and right now I'm just going to show you how you can test yours to see if you need to do the same. What you're going to need first is a tester kit. If you look right here on this side, that is where you test for cold weather, where it freezes. You flip it over and that is your boiling point. So this is basically going to test the levels. There's two different test points here. You could either open up the fill cap here, or you can go to your reservoir, your coolant overflow here. And I'm going to go ahead and just use the coolant overflow just because that's the easiest one to use. The old. So this is telling me that I am good at the freezing point to about negative, I don't know, 18 or so. and at the hot point I'm good to almost 260 degrees Fahrenheit, which isn't bad. What I could do is I've got some antifreeze left over that I can add more undiluted antifreeze here, and that'll raise the level a little bit more. This is just a 50-50 mix with distilled water. The third thing that you want to check is your engine's oil. If it's been a while since you've had an oil change, now's a good time to do it. I always put full synthetic in my engine, and you could put regular conventional oil, that's fine. You just need to make sure that you do more oil change intervals. This one just allows me to go a little bit longer without having to do an oil change. And I always go with a 10W30 because that is what the factory recommends. If you look in the shop manual, I'll pull it up here in a minute, it'll show you its recommendation. For warmer climate, use a 10W30, but if the temperature drops and it's not expected to get any higher than 60 degrees Fahrenheit, then they recommend a 5W30, and that's what I'm going to be putting in this year. So I've never tried this 5W30 before, but it's a thinner oil, and what I've read about this is that when it gets colder out, your oil thickens up and it just gets harder for it to, squirt into places that it needs to lubricate. So this thinner oil is supposed to help fix that. So I'm going to give it a shot, and I will report back after the winter on how my car did with this. When it warms up again in the springtime, I will go back to the 10W30. I'm not going to film the oil change this time. I've got a previous video that you can watch. Link is above right here. It goes through all the steps of how to actually do the oil change, and if you've never done your own, I highly recommend watching the video because it's a super easy task and you'll feel accomplished once you have it finished. The number 4 thing on my list are your wiper blades. Now you're thinking wiper blades may not be that big of a deal, but they can make a pretty big deal if your car is iced over or there's a lot of snow and just freezing rain and ice building up on your blades. They just won't be efficient to remove the snow and ice from your windscreen. There are a couple different styles to look at, but if you do any Google searches on what's recommended for winter conditions, they usually say that these new beam style are the best. There are some that are dedicated to winter driving. They'll actually say winter blades on the packaging, and that would be your best option if that's your only option that you have. Definitely better than just the traditional wiper blade. If it says winter on it, it's usually made out of certain rubber compounds that hold up better in the cold weather, and the design of them keeps ice from building up on top of them. But what I'm going to use is what the internet was basically recommending, was the beam style, which are usually a little bit more expensive, but they last a lot longer and they hold up better in winter, mostly due to the design. They're just shaped in a way that ice doesn't collect on top of them and make it more difficult for it to flex and to clear the debris off your window. So the number 1 choice are the Bosch Icon. This is basically what got the best reviews out of any blade for winter driving. The Miata uses a size 18-inch, and you'll see that there's an A and a B. The A is for the driver's side, and it's just a normal shaped blade. The B is for the passenger side, and it's shaped the same, but they've got springs that run along the sides that basically give it its shape and its form to where it can, form to the windscreen. And from what I understand, the B just has a little bit more of a curve to it, so it can you know, it can come over here and it can grip the ends of it better, so you got more coverage on your windscreen. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these on, and I'll be good to go. I really like those fluidic spray nozzles that I installed. I've also got another video for that. Check the link here. But they really clear the windscreen really good. The spray pattern is more of a fan style than just those two little sprays that don't really get much of your window clean. While we're talking about the windshield wipers, the next thing that I would probably recommend, which would be number 5 on the list, is actually making sure that your washer fluid is filled up with something that can withstand the cold weather. So let me show you what I got. So I've been using this stuff for years. If you look here, it's good to -27 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what you want for cold, icy weather. Something that's going to really melt the ice off your windscreen when you're trying to clear it. If you're just getting the regular cheap blue type of washing fluid, that usually has a tendency to freeze. It doesn't have enough antifreeze properties inside of it to do the job. Last thing you want is for that water line that goes to your nozzles to freeze over, because then you won't be able to clear anything off. This stuff is pretty good though, and I just pour the whole thing in just to, you know, do a little extra job of clearing the ice off. So the 6th thing on my list is something I'm going to call winter trunk essentials. These are just things that you need to keep in your trunk during the winter time, just to help you out in case you ever need it. Let me show you what I got. So this one is a definite. You've got your double-edged ice scraper here and your brush to brush the snow off the car. This will save you more than anything else in the trunk, just because you really are going to need a lot of ice removal up here, and the snow removal is also much needed. I've also got this guy here. It's just another ice scraper, but it's got an insulated mitt to put your hand in, so you're not freezing your hand as you're scraping the ice. So these are definite 2 that you need. I'll actually keep one of these probably up in the front passenger footwell, just so I don't have to open the trunk every time the car freezes over. The next thing that I keep in my trunk is a foldable, collapsible shovel, and this one comes in real handy when you're stuck in a thing of ice and you need to dig your way around your tires just so you can get some traction. This helps out a lot. I do not recommend that you use this for on top of your car to remove any snow. I've seen people do that, and they will scratch their car really bad if they do. So that is another thing that I'm going to keep in the trunk. Another thing that I like to keep in my trunk is a blanket. If you're ever stuck on the side of the road, this could save your life. This one in particular has a 12-volt power cord that you can connect to your power outlet in your car, because it's an electric blanket. had this a couple years, haven't had the need to use it, but it will save your life if you ever get stuck in a situation. Another good idea to have in your trunk is a flashlight. You could use the flashlight built into your phone, but what if your battery's dying? It's more important to be able to make phone calls in case of emergency. So flashlight's another good thing to keep. And one of the last things I'd like to recommend for keeping in your trunk, this is a product called Unstuck, and basically it's just some sort of a mixture of chemical. It's hard to see in there, but it's like a powder that basically you stick on your tires and around your tires to get you out when you're stuck. You look at the ingredients here, it looks like it's limestone, granite, sand, gypsum, but it's basically a powder that you put around your tires, and you rub it on the tires and you put it around the floor to help get you out of there. You could probably get a bag of sand and do something similar, but this will definitely help you out if you need it. Besides, it's kind of heavy and you want more weight on the back tires anyways to get traction. You could probably go for a bag of sand also. Just keep a bag of sand here because those are pretty heavy, and they'll do something similar as far as helping you get out of a stuck point. And last but not least, number 7 on my list of things to do to winterize your car, if you can afford it, your winter tires. Now, I've also put a video up. That was probably one of the first videos I ever put on my channel here. Link above here. Winter tires make a big difference. The compound that the rubber is made out of just holds up better in the cold weather. It doesn't feel as spongy like these summer tires do. So I'm probably going to change those out pretty soon. I've got them put away in storage and I just need to get them out and put them on, but I'll probably save that for another day. I really do love these tires on these wheels. Let me show you. Yeah, I'm totally in love with these 6ULs from 949 Racing. I just love the way they look. The tires are the Yokohama S drives, and they've done excellent all year long. I put them on late spring, early summer, and they've just been amazing. They do well in the wet rain. Of course, they're awesome in dry weather, but yeah, I really like the way they look. So far, with the cold weather, they've done just okay. I have felt them a little spongier than they normally feel. So in the near future, I will be swapping out my wheels with my snow tires, and I'm just kind of dreading that, so I'm putting it off. But that is it. So I hope this video has been helpful to at least some of you guys. If so, hit the like button. Let me know if there's things that I could add to my list. Go ahead and put that in the comments below. If you want to see more of these videos, subscribe. Take care. Safe driving. Bye.